Ladies and gentlemen, back to back with the number one team in the NFL, and I'll leave it to my main man on the other end of the line.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode, a back-to-back episode of the Uncommon Man podcast. Again, I'm David. It's my boy Mike. Like and subscribe, please. Shout out to everybody that's been rocking with us. New podcast. Just trying to get out there. So this second podcast that we're doing, we're just going to give a breakdown of the Denver Broncos schedule and kind of our predictions on how we think everything's going to go. Sorry for the late podcast on the schedule. I know we're probably like a week behind. We tried to put out one last week, but it just kind of didn't go the way that we planned for it to go. But hey, we're going to throw one out there now. Again, this is just a fan's perspective. As fans, when we saw the schedule, we looked at it and like, oh, okay, hey, this is what we think is going to happen. We're not analysts. We're not experts. Just strictly a fan's perspective on what the Denver Broncos schedule is going to be and our predictions.
I'd like to consider us like NFL backup armchair quarterbacks, though. I mean, I think that's
fair.
Yeah, that's right. Fair. I think that's a pretty good assessment of our talents. So, but yeah, so let's get into it. Number one team in the NFL. Especially the AFC West. Let's see how many Kansas City Chiefs fans we can piss off with this.
We're going to speak it into existence. Number one team in the NFL, baby. Speak it into existence.
And not only that, I mean, historically, it might be true. So, may not have the most Super Bowls, but we're up there with the most Super Bowl appearances, and that's good enough for me.
For sure.
So, all right, buddy. Let's go ahead and get wild with it. What do you think?
Uh-oh, he learning. All right, boom. Right out the gate.
What do you think, buddy?
Looks damn good, bro. Okay, so we've already kind of went over the schedule. We're gonna kind of lock in on the Broncos real quick. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this out the gate. We're gonna focus on the Denver Broncos because again, I think we're late on getting this one out. So on the Tennessee Titans, we've already looked at this, and based on what we did last year against them, I think that we feel like this is going to be a dub for the Broncos out the gate.
Agreed. So, yeah, we've got a pretty good record against Tennessee, and to be honest, that was. Had we not goosed Tennessee this season, I would have been a little bit less impressed by Vic Fangio. But the fact that we were able to go from getting dubbed or getting goose egg to putting up a goose egg back-to-back seasons, yeah, I was a little bit more on board for the Fangio defense this year.
Yeah, and getting Jarrell Casey from the Tennessee Titans and also Logan Ryan, he left and he signed with the Jets, I believe, either yesterday or today. So you're talking about losing two key pieces on your defense. So I think, they're not going to be the same as they were last year, and we fared pretty well against them last year. So I think we're going to take them right out the gate.
Well, nobody addresses the fact that, look, you can say whatever you want, but we started the game against Mariota. We retired him during the game, by the way. Nobody fucking addresses that. So we retired Mariota for the season, and I got nothing against the guy, but then they brought in Ryan Tannehill, and still against Denver's defense without those stacked individuals you were just discussing, we still goose-egged them. So Tannehill did no better. They shut down the number one rusher in the NFL last season, which was insane in and of itself, and they got better on the defensive line in the offseason. Yeah, Denver's looking nasty.
Yeah. Next on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I do think it's going to be a dub as well. Yes, you're going to have Big Ben back, but outside Juju Smith-Schuster, I mean, who else do you have? I mean, what other weapons do you have? What other weapons does he have on offense? I really can't think of any. So I think this one right here is going to be another dub for the Broncos. So I think right off the bat, we start 2-0.
Love it. Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody's really addressing the fact the Steelers, they don't play well against Denver, either at home or on the road. I mean, the last time Denver went into Pittsburgh, they won. Shelby Harris batted down a pass to end the game. I mean, that kind of seems to be a common theme for him, which glad we brought him back.
Yes, sir.
Nothing against Derek Wolfe. I just thought Shelby Harris was a better defensive end by the end of the season because he's been more consistent, he's been more stable, and he shows up. I mean, as a main player, is there anything more you can ask for from someone than being at least available every week? So, yeah.
The next game,
Tampa Bay
or the Gronkaneers, however you want to classify.
That's a great one.
Tampa Bay or Gronkaneers, however. This is going to be a home game, but right now, I just feel as if this is going to be a loss for Denver. I mean, if you look at what Tampa Bay did last year, even with James Winston, I mean, the guy went from 30 for 30, had 5,100 passing yards. Their defense was pretty good last year, but now you add in Tom Brady, Gronk, and you add Tristan Wirfs to that offensive line. Man, I just don't see them beating them with that much firepower. I just don't. I think all across the board, I mean, they're a loaded team, and I think we're going to have problems with that.
So can I put my argument in now, or?
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
So this is the one where we're a toss-up on this. I think Denver's going to end up beating them. One, Tom Brady, he does not do well against Denver.
In Denver, he don't.
Right. When Denver's on a roll and they have a complete team like they do, Tom Brady does not have – he just doesn't have a good historical background against them, which is – I mean, awesome as a Broncos fan. I'm not shitting on Tampa Bay, but here's the other thing about it. Bruce Arians, the last time he played against Denver, they put up 52 points against him. So that was while he was coaching a team that went to the NFC Championship.
I think we're split on this one. I think we're split on this one. I think we're going to lose this game. Mike thinks we're going to take it.
So we got one toss-up so far. Otherwise, Denver's looking pretty good. The Jets.
Win.
Agreed. So on to the Patriots. Because Sam Darnold, I'm just not concerned about. You bring a complete team against the Jets, they fold.
Good.
The Patriots.
I think this is going to be a win.
Agreed.
Considering you have a depleted defense outside of your secondary. I mean, don't get me wrong. They have a really good secondary, but not much on the interior D-line or linebackers. You still don't know who's going to be your starting quarterback and what receiving threats outside of Edelman do you have. So I think on the road, I think we can beat the Patriots.
Yeah, I think they're in rebuild mode as much as they don't want to admit to it. And that's no slight against Patriots fans. I mean, they've been a great dynasty for years, but unfortunately, they just lost the number one stability that they've ever had. And Bill Belichick, I mean, historically, he's been pretty good even without Tom Brady, but he hasn't been Super Bowl good without Tom Brady. And I think he just lost his cash cow. I think they're in rebuild mode. I 100% on board. I think that's a win for Denver.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we move on to the Miami Dolphins at home. That team. So basically, you're relying on a bunch of rookies to come in and drive your season. It's not going to happen. I think Denver beats Miami.
Yeah, that's a pretty well. And then you got to think by this point in the season, I'm going to guess Ryan Fitzpatrick is still going to be at the helm. I agree with you. I think Fitzpatrick he's a very good, very competent back, but he has been for years. But he's just basically a segue till Tua. And if they took this game later, in the season, I would think maybe we could take a toss-up on this. But I agree with you. I don't think there's going to be any chance that they lose this. I think as long as – I mean, we're all talking hypothetically. This is if Locke stays healthy. 100%. This entire hypothesis is if Locke stays healthy. That's how fucked we are if he doesn't. So,
right.
Otherwise,
so next up, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. Me and Mike have already discussed this, and we both split on this. I feel as if we're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs at home and lose when we go to KC. Mike thinks it's reverse. Think we lose to them at home, but beat them when we go to KC. I think that's kind of where we stand on that one. I mean, it's fucking tough as it is to play KC, but they're coming in the season being the Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, I think Locke's got something to prove. We're going to push, but Denver generally plays better at Kansas City against Kansas City, and Kansas City plays better at Denver for whatever fuck all reason. I don't understand it, but so
yeah, it's just on the road. I mean, you're going in a hostile territory, so I can see it. But if the Broncos ever want to get over that hump, first you got to start by winning in your division, and it's going to start with KC at home. So that's just my prediction on it. I think we take them at home. Next to the Atlanta Falcons, they're just not a team that I'm worried about. We were supposed to play them in London. That shit got canceled. So I think we're playing them. Yeah, we're playing them in Atlanta in the Dome.
Nothing against London. Just thankfully because everything that's going on right now is a bunch of political rigmarole that'll end up getting thrown in the mix here. I mean, it's just unfortunate, but international games this season they're going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, this team does not scare me at all. I mean, they're another team that's kind of in a rebuild mode.
Are we saying that this is a win for Denver, or are we saying this is a loss?
Dub for Denver.
Okay, agreed.
Next up to the Las Vegas Raiders. Fucking dog shit.
Was that
I got them winning this game, not because they're better, because we're playing them on the road, and with everything that's going on, we don't know if their stadium is going to be finished. Don't know them if you're playing at a fucking college stadium. So they're going to be more adapt to their bullshit than we are. Okay, so I think this first game we'll end up losing this one because you just kind of don't know the situation you're going into, and they're going to be more adapt to their bullshit than we will.
I'm going to say that I'm going to agree with you. I love your political hypothesis on that one. I think it's primarily because of the fact this is.
Yeah, because I mean, you honestly just don't know where the fuck you're gonna play them
against the Raiders, and I think we're gonna get fucked because the refs are gonna be in favor of trying to hype up whatever the next upcoming week is. I think the next week, if I'm not mistaken, is gonna end up being a primetime game for the Raiders. So I'm sure they're going to try and amp up the views before going in. Don't quote me on it. I think if I remember correctly, they have like 4 games. We only have 3. So I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case for this next game. So yeah, I'll say Denver takes a big L here as much as it pains us against this fucko team.
And again, we're not taking an L because they're better than us, because they're not. It's just you don't know where the fuck you're playing them at all. You don't know what kind of conditions you're going into. It's just hard to do. Yes. Next, against the Los Angeles Chargers, we beat them. I think we end up beating them twice this season because, again, going into the season, I think Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starter until the inevitable happens and you put in Herbert. I'm not afraid of Herbert. I'm not a big fan of Herbert. I think we would just dismantle that dude.
We had initially pushed on this one. I think that's because both of us were drunk and wiped out at this point. Mm-hmm. But yeah, after sleeping on it, I 100% agree with you. Even when Denver shit last season, they still beat the Chargers twice. Which is pathetic. And that was with Phillip Rivers at the reins, who is still a competent quarterback. I'm not shitting on Tyrod Taylor, and I'm not going to sit there and pronounce his name however the fuck he wants this week. He's no Chad Johnson either, so fuck him too. But, like, even if Herbert's at the reins, they're just – that team's always in rebuild mode. They just can't get their shit together. So, it's a sad story year in and year out.
And I predict by this season, this time in the season, half the team is going to be injured. Like always. Half the team is going to be fucking injured anyways.
Just collecting the check because all the first-round picks that they have that
are fucking injured.
On the contract. Report. That's awesome.
Next, against the Saints at home. This is where I kind of go back and forth because, I mean, you're playing against a Hall of Fame lights-out quarterback in that offense. And then that offense just added Emmanuel Sanders. So they're going to be pretty potent. And, you know, this team has played together. They're still together. Head coach, quarterback, you name it. So I think we take an L to the Saints at home.
Agreed.
Next up, Kansas City Chiefs. This is where me and Mike flip-flopped. So I had them taking – L on the road. Mike has him taking the dub on the road. Next up, the Carolina Panthers. I think I can't remember. I want to say I had them taking a win on this one, but could have been a loss.
No, what?
Not sure.
It's been a little while. Go ahead, go for it. What do you think is going to legit happen in your heart on this?
Okay, on the road, Teddy B. I think we take an L on this one.
All right. Well, I'll still push you on that one. So, I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they gave Teddy B the firepower to handle Denver. Denver, they may not have the greatest cornerbacks, but they're still pretty deep at mediocre. And pretty deep at mediocre is better than zero at wide receiver. So I'm going to say by this time in the season, Carolina will not only be completely out of receivers, they will be completely out of talent. So
depleted.
They drafted
is
well
what
on
he's
defense,
predicting.
but they didn't draft enough cornerbacks to stop.
Oh, I forgot it. They fucking drafted a whole defense. I forgot about that.
Seven defensive picks, man. Was it like an NFL record, I think? So,
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so they have zero offensive factor on that team, and it's nothing shit. I like the approach they took. That was a good kind of like a game-changing approach, but unfortunately for this season, going against a team like Kansas City or Denver, I mean, they just don't really have a shot.
Right. Next, we had the Buffalo Bills. I think me and Mike both projected losses on this game because historically, Denver does not play well. What's up?
I have a statistic for it too. Let me pull it.
Okay. Let's go over this statistic. So we think both historically Denver does not go well against Buffalo, and honestly, Buffalo is a well-balanced team.
Damn it! Let me close back. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so here's what I have. I looked this up beforehand, so I actually did come prepared. So the last win against the Bills in Denver was 2014. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, that was the last win against the Bills. So they've had 2 games against them since and lost both of them. Historically, they have been atrocious against the Bills. I would love to be optimistic about this game. I'm just not. I mean, neither one of us are. So I don't know what it is about the team. They just seem to have Denver's number.
So let me ask you this. On the statistics, because normally it's whenever Denver travels to the East Coast at a noon or 11 o'clock game, we normally shit the bed. I think that's well understood. I mean, our record is fucking awful when it comes to that. But what time are we playing this game? I mean, I guess nobody knows at this point.
Oh, I can't remember.
We don't even fucking know what day it's on.
They had the times close. But you got to remember too. I mean, that's all going to be predicated on whether or not this ends up becoming a primetime game. And I'm not saying it will, but I mean, if they're sitting there saying 12-19 or 12-20, that means that it could end up being a primetime game. And that's going to be predetermined as to how the teams play out. Yeah, that's their only one. So just like the same with the Chargers, 12-26 or 12-27. It could be one or the other because they're going to change it amongst the schedule. But either way, I don't think I don't think Denver's got it against Buffalo. It's unfortunate, obviously our bias aside, Denver just shits the bed against Buffalo. Kansas City rapes Buffalo. They look like fucking superstars, like Space Jam-esque superstars against the Bills. And we just can't put our shit together against that team. I don't know why.
Well, and we're going to move on after this. I think Buffalo is a well-balanced team, and they've been doing this. It's not like they put them together this past offseason or this past draft. They were good last year. Same people are coming back for the most part. They added Stephon Diggs. So, I think, honestly, this one, we're going to lose this game. Next up, the Chargers. Again, I don't believe in the Chargers. I think we beat them twice this upcoming year. And then we'll finish out the last game of the season at home versus the Raiders, and we will kick the Raiders' ass. Fuck you, Raiders.
So here's where we're at right now, Broncos fans. We are at 1 win, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're at 9 wins along with 4 push. So those are all 4 neutrals at this point. And then we've got one agreed L, 2 agreed. So 2 agreed L's. So something's not adding up here. Three L's. I'm sorry. Okay, now we're good. So we've got. Pardon the interruption there, guys. Sorry about that. And sadly enough, I'm actually going to school to be an engineer. It's pretty embarrassing, right? For what it's worth, the offset would be a high potency alcohol at this point, but I will not make any further excuses. So yes, so statistically right now we have agreed upon 3 losses and 4 pushes, could be one way or the other. So, Denver's looking pretty stout, man. That's a pretty good record. You get down to it, we'll say, let's go 50%. That's a fucking 11-5 season, man. That's pretty goddamn impressive for a team that should have been 10-6 this year and ended up being 7-9 just because they couldn't get over the hump against the teams that they should have beat because of incompetent quarterback play. And I just don't forecast that being an issue this season. So
and I'm the type of fan that every single year I want to see improvement, and I think this year is we're going to see the improvement that we expect to see out of a second-year head coach, a second-year quarterback, and then bringing rookies into it as well. I think we're going to see what we think we should see out of the Denver Broncos.
This is going to be this is all predicated off of Drew Lock staying healthy, which is awesome because you think about literally you guys can go back as fans all the way back to the 60s when we were conceived. We've never drafted a franchise quarterback. But this year, of all the people, the guy that was drafted by the Colts and refused to play for them and came over to play for us, I think he finally landed a home run. And I was never a fan of Cutler. I never liked that guy. That was the next closest, draft pick we had besides Brian Gracie. And I had hope for Greasy. Obviously, the guy that came after Greasy at Michigan ended up being a pretty good quarterback in the NFL. And of course, he didn't end up playing for our team, but he's got 6 Super Bowl rings. So, but I think Drew Lock's going to be it, dude. I love everything I saw. I love watching him from at Mizzou to the Senior Bowl to going into the draft. I mean, all the excerpts. I couldn't believe the guy dropped to the second round, and he's got the chip on his shoulder now. So as long as he keeps that second round draft card in his backpack, I think that he's going to be the next big thing in the NFL. And especially in a division where you got Patrick Mahomes, that changes up the dynamics and puts the Broncos back on the map.
Yeah, I agree. I love everything. I've loved watching the pre-scout process on Drew Lock from when he played during the season, and from everything that I'm seeing in this offseason. He has really taken to, okay, I'm the franchise guy, and he's doing everything he can to, like, hey, I understand it. I'm not going to fuck this up. I'm going to try everything in my power not to fuck this up. And, hey, I'm taking it as if, hey, I'm the head quarterback. I'm the leader of the franchise. And, I mean, he's rolling with it. I love everything I see. I have high hopes, high expectations for this season. But also, I think I got realistic expectations for this season as well.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's reflected, in our analysis of what we think the schedule is going to end up parlaying to be. So
yeah, for sure,
pretty damn fair. I mean, like I said, around 10 to 11 wins for the season, which is fucking what we should have been at last year. And in the scores could have easily been. Yeah, I mean, I think we'll be all right. I think it's gonna be a good season. We're, as you can tell, we're biased to a degree, but we're still pretty realistic. I mean, we didn't sit there and project them going 16-0. So
yeah, for sure. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be a wrap up of our back-to-back episode tonight. Be on the lookout later on this week. We're going to drop another pod later on this week. But again, like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. Hey, if you want to message us anything, because again, we are a community at the Uncommon Man podcast. We just don't go over Broncos shit, okay? We go over man shit as well. If you got questions about finances, stock market, if you got DIY projects that you're working on, if you got a car project that you're working on, hit us up. Let us know, bro. Let's talk about it. Okay? Let's talk about it. Let's go over it. Hey, we want to know what y'all are up to as well. So hit us up on Twitter at the Uncommon Man Pod.
Uncommon Man Pod at Twitter.
Boom. There you go. All right, my friend. I'll holler at you later, okay?
Hi, buddy. Amazing. Be safe.
All right. See you, bro.
Later.